Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry I can't be with you today. I know you're heartbroken. We'll live with it. Okay, so you all are going to learn about parenthetical referencing. So, yes, you're going to learn how to correctly cite information in a research paper. As you know, you are in the midst of writing a research paper, and you have to cite how you got the information correctly so you will not be accused of plagiarism. We will go over that. Okay, so first, this is the information up here that you would have on your works cited page. What's incorrect about it is that this should be double spaced, and then these two lines would be indented in. But I just needed to squish it there, so whatever. Okay, so again, above is the information that goes on a works cited page. Those are the places, the books, the magazines, the journals, the websites, the information you get your information from. You have to list that. So when you use information from that source, you have to give it credit or it's considered plagiarism, even if you put it in your own words. Okay? You did not do the original research. If you use someone else's ideas without giving them credit, that's intellectual theft, plagiarism. So here we have a sentence from a research paper. A week later, corrections officer Shannon Smith, who was guarding prisoners by the side of the road, was killed by a woman distracted by a phone call. This is an example of paraphrasing. So the student read this article, looked at this website or article or whatever, website, and put this information in his or her own words. That's what paraphrasing means. However, they did not get this information on their own. They got it from this source. So what they have to do is at the end of the section where they get the information, not necessarily end of paragraph, at the end of that section, they have to use what's called parenthetical referencing. So at the end of the line, notice there's no period here. You're going to have a parenthesis here, then we have the word best off, and a parenthesis, and the period goes here, goes after the parenthesis. This part becomes part of the sentence. The reason they only need this one word is that I can now go to this person's works cited page and find the source. I'm just looking for the first word or first words in this entry. It happens to be a person's last name. Okay? So now I know this information came from this source. They are now not accused of plagiarism. So when you paraphrase, you need to have parenthetical referencing at the end of the sentence or section where you got the information. All right, next slide. Again, this will be the work on the works cited page. This should be double spaced, and yes, this should be indented in. And here is the section that you would find in the research paper. Early in November, 2-year-old Morgan Pena was killed by a driver distracted by his cell phone. Morgan's mother, Patty Pena, reports that the driver ran a stop sign at 45 miles per hour, broadsided my vehicle, and killed Morgan as she sat in her car seat. Okay, part of this is paraphrasing, that first part of the sentence, the first sentence, but the other is a direct quote. They are words that came directly from the text. Quote does not mean this is what somebody said. Quote in a research paper means that these words in quotation marks came directly, word for word, from this source. Okay? So, part is paraphrasing, part is a direct quote. Since the name of the author is used in the text, here is the person's name, Patty Pena. Here it is, right here, Patricia Pena. Since that person's name is mentioned here, then we're not going to use it at the end here. So if she hadn't been mentioned, if it were Morgan's mother reports that, blah, 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 then there would be no period here. We would put a parenthesis here, Pena, end parenthesis, and put a period. Okay? But again, since the name was mentioned in the text, nothing is needed here. Because again, I can see Patty Pena and I can go to the website or the works cited page and find where the information came from. Okay. Also, no page number is listed because this is from an internet source and the internet source did not have page numbers. Now, if on this site there were page numbers listed, then here, period would not go here. I would put a parenthesis, then a page number, 15, end parenthesis, and put a period. Because normally you want two things. You want an author's name and a page number. If author's name is given in the text, it's not needed here. And if there's no page number, well, there's no page number. Okay? So, moving on. Again, here's the information that we would have on the works cited page would be double spaced, this second line indented. What's different here is you notice how this says print. This is from, since it says Washington Post, this source is from a newspaper. And it says B1 plus. That means that this article started on B1 and it continued on other pages, but they weren't consecutive. If it were 1 and 2, then they would put B1-2. All right, so let's take a look at what was in the research paper. On Thanksgiving weekend that same month, John and Carol Hall were killed when a Naval Academy midshipman crashed into their parked car. The driver said in court that when he looked up from the cell phone he was dialing, he was 3 feet from the car and had no time to stop. And then it says Stockwell B8. Again, this is another paraphrase. The person read the article and then put the information in his or her own words. Now, since the author or title of the article is not listed in the text, it has to be listed here. First word of the works cited entry is Stockwell. We will put Stockwell here. There is also a page number, so we list that here. That's the only thing that goes in parentheses, either a name or title of article or and page number if you have both. But you don't put a P for page. That's it. Okay? Just those two things. Notice period is not here. Parenthesis, information, parenthesis, period. Period goes here. Please, everyone, note. Period goes here. All right, next slide. Again, text on the works cited page. This one is double spaced, but this line should be indented. And we can tell that this is from the website. So here is the text. In this 13-part series, Sagan presented and explained a large variety of scientific topics ranging from the origin of life to our place in the universe. It was the most watched series in the United States for 10 years after its release in 1980. Again, a paraphrase, and credit must be given. Since there's no author, see, we don't have an author here for this article, and that's what happens sometimes online. Authors aren't given for the sites. So the next thing that is listed is the title of the article, which is Whirlpool Galaxy. That is what must go here. Now note, no period here, parenthesis, and then I need to state this exactly as it is. Whirlpool Galaxy, there was a period there. Normally you're not going to have one. It's only here because it was there. Quotation mark, no page number, one was not given, and parenthesis, and yes, period has to go here. If you happen to have a really long title, Whirlpool Galaxy in the space that somebody discovered a long, long time ago, You don't have to put that entire title. What you do is you list the words until you get to the first noun. Galaxy is the first noun. So you would put quotation mark, Whirlpool Galaxy, dot, space, dot, space, dot, quotation mark, parenthesis, period. Okay? So, if you have an author's last name, like here, then you'll use it. But let's say Stockwell Jamie, that we didn't have that author's name. It started with this, phone use faulted in collision. If we didn't have this, we'd have to use this. So we wouldn't have Stockwell. We would have to start with this title and we would end at the first noun. Okay, you want to guess what the first noun is in this title? It isn't phone, it's use. Because this is the noun and this noun is acting as an adjective. So down here what we would have is parenthesis, quotation mark, phone use, dot, space, dot, space, dot, quotation mark, parenthesis, period. Whatever you have listed first is what goes here. Okay? And page number if it applies. That's how you do parenthetical referencing. Again, if you're not sure, please ask. But if you don't use parenthetical referencing in your paper, you are guilty of plagiarism. Bad, bad form. You will now be given a worksheet that will have basically the same information we've just gone over. You will answer the questions on the worksheet, and this will be due by the end of the period. And these worksheets, again, will help you do the parenthetical referencing in your paper. And you will have access to computers the next 2 days. All right, so good luck. Do the exercise well and behave, and I'll see you tomorrow.